All right. So, but everything he pretty much said was ass backwards. And he really never dealt with FBA as an identity of a lineage. He really didn't do that. He just talked about, hey, you guys are criticizing a small group of immigrants that don't really push the needle, like they're acting alone. Bro, these small groups of immigrants are adopting team white supremacist talking points. So Brother Reggie just noted that, in their homelands, they're being told FBAs are lazy and this and that. Bro, though that same talking point got Jim Crow passed. So what are we talking about here? Oh, all they did was say FBAs were lazy, the women are prostitutes, and there'll be nothing but drug addicts, and therefore they need to be in slavery. That was the Confederates' argument, by the way, before the Civil War. They were trying to stop the Civil War by arguing that FBAs, ADOS, FBA DOS wasn't worth a damn. So there's no need to fight over these people who are prone to just being told what to do because they're lazy. All those things that Brother Reggie said Black immigrants say about us. Those same talking points justify Jim Crow, Black codes, and everything else that we experience, from peonage to peonage system, things like convict leasing, sharecropping, where they put them in contracts to pretty much work forever for little to nothing. And the fact that we were denied so many assistance, programs and assistance from government. We were denied that stuff because of the talking points that we were lazy and drug addicts. Yes, those are dangerous talking points. And when people say that about us, they're white supremacists. Just like when it don't matter what color you are. Nazi Germany, right? Not Germans were solely responsible for what happened to Jewish people. All right. But guess what? When you repeat the same talking points, the anti-Semitic talking points of the Germans during Nazi Germany, Nuremberg, okay? When you repeat those same talking points, you are lumped into one of them. Everybody's called anti-Semitic. Well, the same thing with us. We're protecting ourselves. Anybody who quote those talking points of the Confederates who wanted us in slavery, who felt like we were animals, basically, if you repeat those talking points, you are lumped in as one of them. You are Confederate-minded. You are team white supremacy. And team white supremacy does move the needle. So miss me with that. Oh, they're a small group. No, now they're no longer small. They're attached to team white supremacy. Hey, Brother Reggie, where you at? Where's Reggie at? Oh, yeah, you can do it. Let me put the Zoom link in there. Hold on real fast. Put that. I almost forgot about you. Is anything I'm saying making sense? And like Brother Reggie said, support unbiased. Ron, the Cash App is pinned to the top. A lot of research poured into this. And later on, I'm going to come back with a live showing that our early leaders were never team immigration like that, again, because we don't have anything. And we definitely, all of them, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, and A. Philip Randolph, they all were against any thought of living in Africa. So when Brother Reggie lied and said Booker T. Washington was looking at Liberia, like, where are we? He just lying. He just flat out lying. Pink supremacy. Yeah, so a lot of research, and I just debunked everything. So, I got some stuff, man. I got some stuff. So, we criticize them. It starts with internal criticism. Hey, bro, everybody criticizes outside groups, especially when they are in your business. We're supposed to ignore the talk so it can grow loud. Therefore, we can't do anything about it. No, you stop the mumbling early, so you don't have to worry about the loud screams. Okay, you don't want to deal with the loud scream. Once it gets to screaming, the lie becomes truth. Okay, it becomes the truth. No, we stop that mumbling early. We address it early. We try to stop it, but we address it early. We supposed to sit back and let people just talk about it. Like, what the, my brother? And a lot of them do that. A lot of them sit there and act like we should just be an unprotected class. That people just say all crazy stuff about us. Ain't even met us yet. Ain't even been to the country yet. In their own country, they're believing this stuff about us. Go in there. Ain't even meet us. I can show you videos of Rwandan women. Yeah, they got a lot of nerve. They over there, never been over here, never met one American, and sitting there saying we're drug addicts, we're prostitutions, and let me guess, white supremacy told you. Right, so white supremacy is coaching you. The white supremacy is training you to believe these things about us. And then you go ahead and believe these things and repeat the rhetoric, you are team white supremacy. Like, what's the argument there? There's no debate. Go. Go there. Get your cartoon. So I put the link in there for this Reggie guy. Well, I didn't hear Brother Reggie quote the rhetoric. He was justifying, he was being a pacifist to these black immigrant white supremacists. So, but not yet. But Brother Reggie ain't that crazy to start saying, because he'll be talking about himself, dummy. Pablo, are you that dumb? Brother Reggie just showed his genealogy in a damn on the screen. He showed that he's FBA. So why would he say that? That's just Pablo. You just a goofy Latino that get banned from every podcast you join because you're always off topic and you always change the subject. You in the back? Hold on. Let me see where you at. Okay, I see. Okay. All right, 1 second. Let me let you in. Let me share my screen. So I ain't gotta worry about no porn bombs. All right, let me.
Daddy, just please, Daddy.
Okay. Let me come out. Let's sort of two things first. People act like they don't understand FBA, but I got them.
Daddy.
Yes.
Look, I got my jacket. Ow. Daddy.
Yes.
He beat me.
He beat you. Okay, go down. Get your first one. Go in there.
My jacket is working.
That's a good starting point just for like. Yeah, you in there yet, man?
Yeah, I'm in here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not echoing or nothing, am I?
Nah.
Okay, cool.
Put it down. Okay, so first, let's start with where are you from?
What's up?
Where country you from?
America.
Like, so your lineage go back to people who were enslaved?
Who got off the boats? Yeah.
Not off the boats. You said enslaved in America. Where, okay, real simple. Were your ancestors emancipated by Abe Lincoln?
Yeah. That's a unique way to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, this how you get to the point. Okay, so what is your question about FBA being a lineage?
I was just asking, is it a lineage? Because I don't know. I thought it was an organization or just a group. I don't understand how it's a lineage.
Anybody? Okay, cool. You say you did some research on this. The research you did anybody ever say it was organization? Have you ever heard that before? You
Mm,
did thorough. No, you got to know that you did thorough research. You said you
no.
researched
When
it.
I say okay, you taking. So let me qualify first. I didn't say I did thorough research because people take that the wrong way. I let me.
I will, hold on, let me stop you right there,
Okay.
real quick, because I was explaining to IBM that
Hmm.
when you do it in practice, you do it in the game. So he said something similar. I asked him something. He said he researched it, but when I did what I did to you, he didn't backtrack like you. Listen, there's only one way to research. It's thorough. All right. So I just said advice. Okay. I don't know unthorough research. If I research something, I pretty much know it top to bottom. But I got you. So from the little bit you research or looked into, because you didn't research it. Well, let
Yeah,
me tell
let's
you,
say that. Let's
nobody.
say look into
There's no organization, right? There's no organization of FBA.
it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So FBA, do you know what it stands for? Or do you know what it could
Foundational
stand for?
Foundational Black American.
Yeah, but it also could stand for free Black Americans because Black people were actually free uh, Emancipation Proclamation. Okay, come over here. So yeah, so people will say it could also be freed Black Americans. So either one is fine. So that is an identifier to a group of people that's different than everybody else in the world. So
Like the
that's
free
literally naming a
like
lineage.
the
What's that?
freedmen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Freedmen?
Yeah. I know about the freedmen. It's like the Freedmen's Bureau, they used to
No,
call us
no,
freedmen.
no, 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 no. That's wrong. Okay, the Freedmen Bureau, again, you must have came late in the video, my boy. The Freedom Bureau has nothing to do with freedmen. Freedmen are actually interchangeable with former enslaved people.
No, that's what I said.
Freedmen,
The
if you
freedmen.
yeah, but it has nothing to do with Bureau. Why you say the Freedmen Bureau? That's some so white folks. Wait, do you even know what the Freedmen Bureau even is?
Well, it was an organization that was it was akin to what we now have in the NCAA or the NAACP, my bad. Um,
What was it designed to do when it was around?
But it was designed to do a multitude of things, but
Yeah, but it's only like three major things that we cared about being enslaved, being freed from enslavement. What do you think they were?
well, I mean, I probably can't give those three things like you probably
All right,
about
well, let
this.
me give you something, but it's real
Okay.
simple though. Let me get you because the chat probably don't know either. Food and clothing, my boy. We were just free, so we had nowhere to go. Food and clothing and housing.
Right, but that's what I was going to say. They were the liaison between us and they were supposed to be between us and the government that existed at the time.
Right, but what that got to do with freed men? So the bureau was created for freed men. So freed men existed, and then the bureau came. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So what was the point of mentioning it? Like it's totally irrelevant
Because
to
I wasn't
identify
saying I
lineage.
was just saying like that's like when you said freedmen, I'm saying like the Freedmen's Bureau to let you know that I understand what you're saying. I wasn't saying, oh, it came from the Freedmen's Bureau. I was just saying, okay, you're saying freedmen as in like Freedmen's Bureau. That's
Yeah,
all
I
I was
would
just
think
making a
somebody. I got
correlation.
you. I understand you.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm just saying, like I would think somebody would say freedmen like us who were freed from enslavement. That's how I would think you would answer that. But it's all good. Yeah.
To each his
So
own.
ADOS, are you familiar with that?
ADOS?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's African descendants of slaves, right?
Nah. There's no African in none of these acronyms. It's American descendants of slaves. What about
American
NCOBRA?
descendants
You
of
familiar?
slaves? Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Are you familiar with NCOBRA?
I've never heard that.
Okay. Yeah, that was before
Like
who prior.
IN Cobra, COBRA, like a
Nah, N apostrophe Cobra
oh N
is
oh no.
also
What is that?
yeah. It was before them. It's just an advocate for
So
reparations on
are
behalf
all of
of
these in FBA interchangeable?
no. The only one that's okay. So in Cobra, it's just an acronym of an advocacy to represent FBAs. ADOS similar thing. ADOS pretty much tell you what it is. It's American, so it's telling you who it is, not really defining like as a term like Jamaica. It's just telling you who it is. American descendants of slaves, and those people today are being called FBA, which is foundational Black Americans, to separate those Black Americans from other Black Americans who immigrate here from other countries.
Okay.
Those Black Americans, it'll be impossible for them to be foundational or freedmen. They haven't experienced laying down the foundation of this country, and they have not experienced being free from enslavement. So that's the difference. So you follow that?
Okay, so it's
Issue.
just saying that you weren't emancipated. You nor your family was emancipated by Lincoln, like you said.
Yeah, like you never were enslaved. Your lineage were not enslaved here in this country. You were somewhere else, being either colonized, probably being colonized.
Right. You got dropped off earlier
Okay,
than we did.
you're not American. Like you don't, like your beginnings as a people after colonization or enslavement, your origins after that were not American. You were wherever you were.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's what I'm
if you
saying. You
were,
got dropped off after or before we did.
well, the drop off part doesn't matter. That's why I'm not getting to that. For example, have you ever heard of a Nigerian?
Yes, I know what a yes.
Okay. Okay. Have you studied the history of Nigeria like I did?
No, I haven't studied the history.
Okay. Do you know how they became Nigerian?
Superficially, but
Okay. They
not
all
I wouldn't say I
share
have
the
an
same.
in-depth knowledge of
I got it. They
okay.
were not Nigerian until the British came over there and shelled
Right.
BP. Then they became Nigerian. Okay, you see how easy you could become something that you weren't before. So they were Igbo and whatever else they were over there. You had the
Yoruba.
Afghani people. They were right. You had different tribes of people who all united under Nigerian because they experienced the same thing under a rule of white people, which is called colonization. So every Black person that experienced a unique rule under white people, they became something different than what they were prior.
Hmm.
And that's where we get ethnogenesis from.
Okay,
So
and
you go ahead.
what is ethnogenesis?
Ethnogenesis is just an experience that you have with a group of people for, let's say, a couple hundred years. So you end up, so that means, so you come from somewhere, but you end up somewhere else, and you share this unique experience as a result of living somewhere else. You start to eat certain foods different from where you came from. You start to speak a language different where you came from. You start to have you start to experience different things that go into history separate where you came from. So you become just an entire different group from what you came from. So that your current experience, your current language, your current culture has nothing to do with the people where you were before. So had you go back, they would be like, yo, who are you? Like you'll be that different when you go back. That's in the most simplest way.
So if you're an FBA, how do I say this? You prioritize your ethnogenesis over your lineage.
Your lineage is your ethnogenesis and Nigerians, right? So in this country, the most successful immigrant group educationally, right, are Nigerians, right? Are you aware of that?
Are you saying that's a fact?
Yeah, it's a fact. Like
Okay.
they're running circles around. They run in circles around every immigrant group, and nobody can touch them. But you
Okay.
see how they call Nigerians? They're not called Igbo or Europe. You see how they call Nigerian? See,
Hmm.
they prioritize the ethno group over the tribe.
But
So
do
under
they
that
do that,
banner,
or do they do
no,
that?
they yeah, well, bro, when you hear Godfrey speak, the comedian, he says I'm Nigerian. He says I'm Nigerian American or American Nigerian, whatever how you put it. Yeah. Now let's go to Jamaica.
But amongst each
Aren't
other,
they form?
but I'm saying amongst each other, dude.
Well, I don't, bro. Well, most each, well, we don't know. We only know them when they're over here. I'm not in Nigeria. I have no idea. I can't speak on what they do over there. But I can only speak on them when they come over here. They say the Nigerian very proudly. Now, let's go to Jamaica. Didn't Jamaica get dropped off a boat? Didn't Jamaicans, weren't they Africans dropped off a boat?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they call themselves Jamaican or African?
It depends on which ones you talk to. But I get what you're saying. By and large, they
Okay.
probably go
All
with
right. Come
Jamaican.
on, bruh. If you talk to an African American, he's going to say, oh,
I just
all right.
concede.
Yeah, but
I said
we
by
being
and
goofy now
large, they
because,
probably are going to call themselves
yeah,
Jamaican.
bro, you got FBAs who say they're Moors. You got okay, so bro, we're not talking about the small, tiny exception. We're talking about largely.
I
Yes,
just
brother, the
said by and
landmass
large, they call themselves Jamaican. I don't know why you want to belabor on the point where I just made that point with
because
you. I'm
when
with
the
you,
question
bro.
just be okay, I'll tell you why. Because when a question was asked, you were being disingenuous by saying, "Well, bro, it's called Jamaica. The landmass is called Jamaica. Jamaica got independence in
I
1962."
wasn't being, y'all got to stop doing this with this. I'm so smarter than
No, but
everybody
yeah,
else. It
okay,
comes,
listen, it's
bro, I've
I'm
been listening.
responding
Can I
to
say
what you
something? Can I say something real quick?
wait, hold on, before just to save the confusion going further. So if you ask me a question, right, and it's like broad and general, I'm gonna give you a general and broad answer. I'm not gonna give you the exceptions. So if I ask you a question about something like that, I'm asking for the broad and general, like the masses. If there was a census, like what would they say? Largely they would call themselves Jamaica, not some goddamn tribe from Africa. But go ahead.
Bro, I understand. I get you, bro. I'm not here to, I like what you said earlier. I don't talk to argue. I'm looking for what's good information. So when I answer the question, I'm gonna answer the question like I answer questions. With all due respect on how you answer questions, that's fine. I answer questions how I answer questions. That's why I said what I said. Hey, it depends on which ones you talk to, but I understand what you were getting at. And that's why I said, but in general, they probably go call themselves Jamaicans. I don't understand why we had to go down that route of you
Well,
explaining
I'll
what
tell
you
you
need to
why.
explain.
You
But
just
but
said
you just told me why. You just told me why. So we can
I
move
got you.
forward.
I'm just adding this. This is called adding on. You just said you answer this question the way you answer the question, not the way I would like you to. I respect that. And guess what? I respond to answer the question the way I want to respond to, and not the way you would like me to.
Facts.
So we're even. So basically in a nutshell, based upon your answer, I might respond a certain way.
I hear you.
All
But
right.
you were
Okay.
saying
So
that they,
now
oh, go ahead, my
go
bad.
ahead. Not good.
But you were saying that they would just consider themselves Jamaican. My thing is with the that I don't get about the FBA is
Mm-hmm.
it seems like in the conversations that I've heard that the FBA is and I might be using this word wrong, is a delineation or a group of people saying that this is their lineage, especially when it comes to, and the reason this has been narrowed down the way it's been narrowed down is because of the talks of reparations. Like I didn't hear about, and maybe I just
No,
wasn't in the right
no,
circle,
yeah,
but I didn't hear about
yeah, no, yeah.
FBA
You're not in the right
anything
circles, and
until
you probably, I mean, but this is why you got to know, if you are FBA lineage wise, you will have to know your history, bro. This conversation, I could give you a 1989 video, bro. So you got to stop. All right. So this been going on way before Tone Talks and Yvette, right? This has been going light
okay.
years before that. Matter of fact, this goes back to Frederick Douglass. So I
Okay.
show videos. Go to my channel. Just go look at African American. You'll see that this conversation was going on in slavery. Some of the people in the AME church, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, they were resenting the word African.
I bet.
Yeah. This is 1870, 1880. Right. Well, they had their reasons for it. They're not African.
Well, I mean, okay. That's where we disagree. That's
What's
where
an
I get
African?
off. No
I
pun
got it.
intended.
So now
But
let's
that's where I
narrow
get
down
off the
real fast.
boat.
I got it. Well, you was probably never on it, but let me ask you this. What is an African? When somebody say I'm African, what are they saying to you?
To me, that they have lineage, they have genetics, they have genealogy that stems from Africa.
Don't everybody in the world have that?
No, not necessarily.
So there's okay, so what people don't have genetics that goes back to Africa?
What people don't have genetics that
Yes.
go back to Africa?
Yeah.
You mean by and large?
Yeah. No. You just said genetics. You said you went there. You said genetics, right? So I'm asking you because when I go on YouTube and watch these shows, I see white folks, they're Hispanics, that their DNA go right to they have a percentage in Africa somewhere.
Yeah,
So
they
like
have.
I said, everybody goes, but everybody goes back to Africa, bro. And that's my whole point. Everybody has some percentage of a country in African in them. So if that's your definition, then everybody can just say, yeah, I'm African.
But I don't think that's true. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's
No,
true.
wait, you don't think the science, when people do the DNA test and it goes back to Central Africa or specific places, you think the science is wrong when it shows Hispanics or Asians or whites going back to Africa? You think that science is incorrect?
No, I'm not saying that. If somebody shows that they have DNA that traces back to Africa, that's a different thing. But you just saying
How's
that
that different?
you making a blanket statement that says everyone's DNA traces back to Africa. That's
No,
what
I said, okay, look, well, everyone then let's cap it off. Everyone who has shown DNA, such as black, white, Chinese, Indian, Native American, if all those people can show traces of their DNA, go back to Africa somewhere, are they African?
no.
So what makes somebody African? That's the first question I ask.
Well, in genealogy, your haplogroups make you what you are. So you would probably go off of that.
Okay. So explain. Like, give an example. Somebody living in America, let's say an FBA person living in America, explain how they're African just by the haplogroup and genealogy. Go ahead.
Well, your haplogroup stemmed from a place. A genealogist can trace haplogroups back to an origin spot. So,
Like, give me an example of an origin spot.
okay, like I would have to take a random haplogroup. I don't know what
Yeah,
you
sure.
mean. That's what you want
Yeah,
me to do?
sure. Just give me an example. Any place in Africa. Just give me a place that you're envisioning.
Okay, so like the J haplogroup. And I
Mm-hmm.
look this up, or if the chat, whatever, whoever, look this up because I could be uh mistaken off of this. But I believe that the J haplogroup they're originally from like Central Asia or Western Asia, one of them. So that would be an example. Like if you look up J haplogroup, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I think their origin for that haplogroup is Western Asia, is Central or Western Asia. So that's an example. So if you have a J, if your Y haplogroup from your father is J whatever, then your lineage comes from Western or Central Asia, whichever one it is.
So give me the example in Africa I'm looking for.
Give you an example of, for example,
Yeah.
the E haplogroup, like E1,
Right.
that's mainly going to be Western Africa.
Right. Now, so no Chinese, white people, or Hispanic have the E.
If a Chinese person, if what
White or Hispanic. Don't focus on one. I named all three.
okay, if a white, Chinese, or Hispanic person has an E haplogroup from their from their father, more than likely their father was black.
Right, but right now, currently, they're white, Chinese, and Hispanic. So, are they also African?
Then more than likely they won't have an E haplogroup.
More than likely, what does that mean? Is that absolute, or is that possibility
Well,
that they do?
earlier
They
we
can
were speaking in general, so
no. You went to science right now. No. When you go to
that's how
science,
science works. Science
no,
is general.
no. Science is very specific. Okay?
Science can be very specific,
Yeah.
but science is made up
All
of
right. Wait.
generalities.
Anyway.
That's what a theory
Okay.
is,
Cool.
right? A theory is just a
All right, cool.
general.
No. See, now you're gonna be stupid now. That's not what a theory is. Okay.
I'm not
You
saying
better
that's
look at my
what
channel.
well, you're right. Let me qualify. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
that's not what a theory is, my boy.
but that's kind of what, and I'm asking, I'm not saying this like I'm right. I'm asking, is that not what a theory addresses, like the generalities of something?
Bro,
What is the force pulling us down? I'm trying to figure that out.
we're saying gravity. Listen, you got to first know what a theory is. So that's what I objected to, is what you thought a theory was. Not see what you're trying to. What you kind of did was you implied a general conversational theory to a scientific theory, and that's why I objected. I said, no, that's not what a theory is.
Well, that's cool. That's
Theory
why I
is
said
something.
I'm asking.
Yeah, but anyway, without going too far sideways. So you believe if I had something E in me, that makes me African, right?
More than likely, yes. More than not, yes.
But you don't know either way, right?
That's that's what a genealogist would say.
Right, I got it. So, but that's what you were using. So if we say we're not African and you don't know we got E in us, why are people in our way saying we're African?
No, wait, what?
Okay, you just said the E marker.
Yes, if somebody has a Y, because you can only get one Y, your haplogroup from your father if you're a man.
Lineage. 2. Maternal African ancestry, mtDNA, direct female lineage. If a white American has a maternal ancestor who is African, their mtDNA might belong to haplogroups L0, L1, L2, L3, which are common in Africa. Since mtDNA is only passed from mother to child, this means a white American today could have an African female ancestor while looking completely European due to admixture. Genetic tests from companies like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA have revealed some white Americans with Y-DNA haplogroups E1B1A or E1B1B, meaning they have a paternal ancestor of African origin. Final thoughts. Haplogroups can reveal African ancestry in white Americans, especially in the South, due to historical mixing. Haplogroup A and B are rare but possible in white Americans with African paternal lineage. Haplogroup E1B1A is mostly African but has been found in some white American men. Haplogroup E1B1B has African origins but is common in southern Europe. While haplogroups can confirm deep ancestry, autosomal DNA testing, like Ancestry DNA, is better for understanding recent racial mixing. Would you like it?
Many white Americans unknowingly carry African genetic markers due to the complex racial history of the U.S. DNA testing has exposed numerous cases where individuals presumed to be entirely European have African ancestry. These cases highlight the deep racial mixing that occurred during slavery and the early years of America.
Man, your father's going to pass down his Y DNA to you. It's going to remain the same.
All right. So
father,
what if you are? I got you. So what if you are a black person, right, in America, FBA, and your father's white and your mom is black, FBA black?
Then you probably genetically, according to your father, you probably aren't
right,
quote unquote FBA. That's my confusion.
All right.
Here's my confusion. Now you
right.
get me.
And that's why now this is for the chat. Check. And this is for you too. When Nigerians do a DNA test, right, and find out where they're from, 90 to 99% of them are going to be from the landmass Nigeria. That makes them African. That makes them Nigerian, right? A person from Ghana, if they do the same thing, most likely 90%, they're that.
Yep.
Most people in Africa, where they from, if they take the same DNA test that we're taking, the same ancestry and me test we take over here, damn near all of them is going to say 90 to 99% you're in the right spot. Okay. When it comes to us over here, we're getting 10% that, 15% this. We're getting 20%, 30% Caucasian, and some of us got more larger Caucasians than we got in a single African region or country. So this what makes us different than those people over there in Africa, is that most of those people are 90% of what they are, which we can say, yeah, that you are that. You're 90%. If you're 90% cheetah, you're a cheetah. But if you're 15% cheetah, you're probably not a cheetah. You're probably something else. Okay, and that's how that's some of the logic that we use here, which is real. Like we're not 90% nothing in Africa, but we're being called African. Secondly, so that's just from science-wise. Science-wise, we're like, there's no majority, nothing in us in a particular African region. I think you agree to that. No region has us over here a high 60, 70% in that country or region. None of it. It's 10, 15. If you add all that stuff up, it'll say a high number. But those folks over there individually, they're 90% exactly where they're from. Right. So that's that on a science thing. Now, okay.
I don't think that's
so
true.
Here's the other thing. Well, have you seen our DNA test? We've been sharing. Right. Well, go look at my conversation with Tiffany. She's a Pan-Africanist, and she showed her DNA, and she's like the most, like I think 40%. Somewhere in Nigeria, like
it'd be like in between 40 and 60.
No, they didn't say that. It was on the low end. Go there, because I actually teased her.
You said she was like 40% Nigerian, right?
No, I mean somewhere in West. Not that. She was somewhere in West. I'm saying Nigerian, but remember Nigeria is a bunch of different people.
But she was 40% West African. That's what you're saying.
30, 40%, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It's generally with
no.
us,
You said 40 to 60, and that's not what it says. She had it there.
I'm not saying hers. I'm saying for us, right,
but I'm saying
general,
hers.
the ones that I've seen.
Yeah, but you're responding to what I said.
So I wouldn't be comparing.
Yeah, but you're responding to what I said about her, though. So that's why you're adding that confusion there. I'm speaking of her and what she actually shown on the screen. Two different. She showed two different places where she did her DNA. And both of them had her like under like 40% or near 40% of a particular African place. And after that, it went worse, 20%, 10%. But she had like 15, 20%. She had some more European in her than some of those different African countries. But aside from that, so that's science. But aside from that, on just labeling, right? Because those people are in the same landmass, but they label differently. Like you said, Yoruba, Igbo, you got the Uganda people, you got the Tutsis, you got the Pygmies, you got the Hutus. They're all around the same area, but they're labeled different. Right? They're all labeled different. So now you got labels. So apart from science, you got labels. So people label themselves differently, even though, according to you, they're the same people. But they acknowledge differences, and those differences is enough to them to say, I'm going to label myself something different than you. Right? So let's get back to the topic. You got the Eritreans. They're Ethiopian, but they said, we got so many differences with you folks that we're going to seek independence and call ourselves something different than you, and not an Eritrean. And there's no, oh, aren't you African? It's just those Eritrean people. So that is normal, and what we're doing is normal. And matter of fact, we're the only people on the planet Earth that didn't do it. And that's where you get delineation from, to go back to what you mentioned earlier. That's what it actually means. We're carving out the whole world had carved out something for themselves, a name for themselves. So, yo, we're different than you. He's different from him, and she's different from all of them. Everybody did that but us. So now we're finally saying, you know what? Let's get on board. We're late. Let's carve something out for ourselves where we're just uniquely different, like everybody else is uniquely different from each other. Which I don't know how it could be culture, it could be in DNA, doesn't matter. They're still different. When you see these people, you know they have something that makes them different than the people over there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. So with that, we had prior terms, but those prior terms were co-opted. You know, America had spread those terms thin, where most people could just be called that. You know, just come over here, get citizenship, and now you're one of us. And that's not how that works with us or anybody else. And for that reason, they're one of us. They're black. We're black. But when there are stats about black people, America holds, we become, FBA's black Americans become the face of that negative stat. So even though Jamaicans, Haitians, and all Sudanese people, Ethiopians, although they're scamming and stealing and murdering and selling drugs, prostitution, that's all coupled under black stats. So when people talk trash to us or want to pass laws, white supremacists or tethers alike, they like to bring up those stats. But what about black on black crime? Well, what is that? Because that's a mixture of black folks in there. Call me when it's FBA crime. Call me. There's a mixture of people in all these black on black stats. That's criminal.
But that's never
So
going
we
to
don't want
exist,
to be,
right?
that never been a what?
That's never going to exist, right?
Okay, but that's what we're doing. Okay, that's what we're doing today. For example, Tariq was talking to an Italian guy, right, on one of his shows, and Tariq, you know, was trying to couple him with white America. You know, you know how we can talk. Hey, you people did this. He stopped him right away. Oh, I'm Italian. So all these white stats and you got against FBA, they ain't got nothing to do with Italians. Talk to me when it's Italians doing something to FBAs. So when you say never, I would never say never, because never, black people felt like slavery would never end, and we feel like we'll never get civil rights. I would never say never, especially with us over here. The never always end up happening. So we never say never, because we accomplished never things already. Like I said, slavery seemed like something forever, and so did Jim Crow. And those two nevers ended when we put our foot down. So we don't believe in like something can't be accomplished when it comes to us and what we put our minds to, basically.
So you believe we overturned those things?
Say that again.
You believe we overturned those things?
Overturn what?
Slavery and Jim Crow.
Okay. All right. So now watch this. I'm glad you asked that question. Do you know anything about the Civil War? Huh?
Yes.
Okay, got it. I'm glad. We can be trivial now. So what area did Abe Lincoln said they need to defeat and conquer, or this war would never end? Do you know?
No, enlighten me.
Okay. So Abraham Lincoln, his generals, they felt like this war is going nowhere. Right? They'll get some wins, and the Confederates get some wins, and it was becoming a stalemate. So they felt like there would be no win, there'll be no end to this. So pretty much it'll be a stalemate. Everybody go back to their sides, and we start over, or we just agree to disagree. So it wasn't until he realized we gotta sack Vicksburg, and he said we're gonna need black people for this one to basically win the war. So yes, my boy, we did that. Okay, so in 1863, they passed a law that allowed us to fight in the war, fight with the Union. We went in there and we won. So that's that question. And secondly, I said the Civil War. I mean, civil rights. That's all us. That was all us. Now I know you don't know any of the key figures. I know you don't. I don't gotta ask you. I know you don't know the key figures, the key FBA men who were spearheading the Civil Rights Act. I know you don't. The Civil Rights Movement. My bad. Civil Rights Movement. I know you don't. I don't gotta ask you. I know you don't. Like you said, you don't do thorough research. So I know you don't know that. So yeah, but to answer your question, yes. Get away from there. We spearheaded both of those, and both of them could not been completed one passed without us, without our involvement.
So
Yeah.
you believe that our involvement is the same thing as us initiating and completing a mission?
Brother, the mission is to win the war. Not to do a stalemate, not to fight and lose lives and go back and lick your wounds and nothing got done.
Did you hear what I
dead
said?
White people. Yeah, I heard you say. That's my answer. Remember, you answered the way you want to, not the way you want somebody wants you to.
No,
Remember
I understand.
Okay, right.
Now I feel like you're trying to be petty.
No, this is just my answer.
Okay, cool.
Because
my question was, do you feel like
look, I got your question.
I don't think
I got your
you
question. I know. Bro, I do this. So like you, I'm going to give the answer the way I want to and not the way you want me to give it. Like yourself. This is equality over here.
Right. So, I'm just looking for clarity. So
okay, got it. So here's the answer. I got it.
Can you repeat the question just so I make sure you
Nah, I'm good. I'm just going to repeat the answer and then we're going to move on. So, unlike your people, our people were...
What do you mean, your people?
Oh, my bad. Our people, okay? Our people were needed to actually win the war. The war was not going to be won without our involvement. So there was going to be a stalemate. A stalemate, in the game, how about this? Hey, chat, how about this? There's a soccer match going on. It's 0-0. They're down to 1 minute left in the game. So that means a whole hour or two passed. I'm on the bench. They say, yo, Ron, get in. I kick the winning goal or I assist the winning goal. However, the winning goal, I'm involved. Yes, I help win the game.
That wasn't my question.
What's your question? Go ahead.
My question was, okay. Here's my thought, because I don't want it to be
the question. What's the question?
The question was, are you under the impression that having involvement is the same thing as initiating and carrying out
so
a
that's
plan?
I got it. Yeah, I thought that was your question. So that's my answer. Okay, go ahead.
Your answer is, if a game is 0-0 and they
that was my analogy. That wasn't my answer. My analogy was my answer was my answer, and my analogy was my analogy.
But you never answered the question of
sure.
Like,
no, I never answered the way you thought it should come, but it was answered.
Well, I'm still confused. So
that's a personal problem. That's a personal problem. I can't help you with that. There's some medication to take that can probably get you drowsy. But I can't help you with your confusion, my boy. That's not what I do as a professional.
I feel like you're being condescending for no reason.
Brother, I gave the answer, and I'm not going to rephrase it.
I don't understand how in your answer the involvement of people is the initiation, because that's what I was speaking towards. That the civil rights movement was not initiated by us. The Civil War was not initiated by us.
So
although we had involvement, hold on, no. Although we had involvement, if we didn't initiate said
stop. I got you.
Said plans, then
I got you.
What are we
said
talking
something,
about?
so a question comes behind that. Who initiated the civil rights movement?
Well, that's a very long answer, but
no. You could smart people could simplify, bro.
It was an AstroTurf movement. That's how I'll simplify it.
Okay,
it wasn't sparked by us. It was sparked by, we can say, Marxists for the sake of YouTube.
What? No, you gotta. You can say aliens, bro. You have to kind of give a little bit there.
Marxists? No,
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the spark. The spark. You can say aliens, bro. Okay, I'm saying the spark. Explain the spark that led to our civil rights movement.
What do you mean the spark? It was started by the NAACP and
no.
The movement as we know it, the AstroTurf movement as we know it,
okay,
started by.
now I know you're a fool.
by the Montgomery
The
boycott.
NAACP did not see, bro. You talking about who actually know Black history? You don't know Black history. You're not one of us.
The Montgomery boycott, the Montgomery boycotts didn't start off the
Hell no, bro. Do you know?
civil rights
Look,
movement.
yeah, look. This is how dumb this dude is. No, you idiot.
Hold on. First of all, we go quit with the name calling.
No,
I
we're
haven't
not.
called you outside your name
No,
one time while we've been
because
talking.
you are undermining some things that we started, and you said some Marxists did it. So I got it. You are an idiot.
No,
for saying
if we're
that
trying to
because
build, if we're trying to build, and I have a difference of opinion than you,
because
bro,
when you build,
listen.
you got people trying to be honest the best they can.
And I'm trying to be honest
No,
just because
you're
I'm
lying.
offering it. Okay,
No,
let me
but
let you
why
finish.
would you look? It's one thing to say, "Hey, I think this happened this way," or based on my research. You made an absolute statement. You said we didn't, and you ain't we. I know you're not, but you said we didn't start. Now I don't know what FBA guy would say some shit like that. So I know you're not FBA, but you said we didn't start the civil rights movement, and you're a liar because that's why they asked you about certain people earlier. Do you know these certain people? Do you know, bro? Civil rights was way back with Frederick Douglass.
Okay.
You didn't know that?
And even if you take Frederick Douglass,
No. I asked you a question. You didn't know that it started. Well, I can't say he started, but it was way. It goes that far.
When you talk about,
No, bro, that's a question. Did you know that?
and I'm trying to answer. My nigga, I'm not trying to get. I'm not trying to get. I'm not trying to do this with you. I'm not trying to argue, bro.
I got it, but I need a yes or no first. Did you know that Frederick Douglass was in Abraham Lincoln's ear, trying to get civil rights for FBAs?
Yes, trying to get certain rights. Yes.
No, civil rights, not certain rights. Civil rights.
You can call them civil rights, sure. Yes.
Well, that's what. Then what are we calling it then? Okay, but anyway, so that debunks your whole Marxist bullshit and then this boycott stuff.
Okay,
bro, you
sure.
are so early. This guy is. I actually gonna say late. You're so late with your timestamps. But this shit started way earlier, and there's people that I'm not gonna name to you. I'm not gonna give you no extra information. I'm gonna do a live later, and I'm a couple listen to that. But people who come to my channel often, they know the names that got this thing re-popped off in the early 1900s. It had and it was morphed into the civil rights movement. You don't even know who is the father, who is called the father. I know you don't know because you don't research, like you said. You do half-ass research. You don't do thorough research. You don't even know who's called the father of the civil rights movement, and it got morphed to that. He was doing something else.
Constant digs, bro. Like,
no, because you don't know. That's not a guess. I know you don't know,
bro.
But the thing is, because you said you don't do thorough
okay.
research, so I know you see this because you know why this name. When you Google this name,
I said I didn't do thorough research on one thing, and you're taking that and you're blanking
do you know? Do you know? No, research.
Everything.
Research. I got you. Research is a skill, actually. Right? Is actually something that's it's a skill. So when you know research, you apply. Like I do. I talk basketball. I talk science. I got chemistry videos on my thing. I talk science. I talk a lot of things. And guess what? My research stays the same because there's a research methodology that does not change. And that's what makes all your research across the board.
Sure, I understand that. That's why I qualified myself when I said, you know what?
But I want to just finish this point real fast, Reggie.
You've been finishing for a while now.
Yeah, it's my channel. It's my
I understand. I get it.
All right. So, yes, I need you to be quiet for a second. I have to mute you. All right. So, the fact that you disclosed that you didn't do research on the topic, because you said you, in the chat, you said you did do research on this.
And then when I got on, I qualified.
Yeah, but research is, when is research not thorough? Like, who the hell says, I research, but I gotta qualify what type of research?
My nigga, I sat up and said before you even said something, when you asked me, bro, that I don't like you niggas that do this, bro. Like I'm sitting up here trying to break bread with you and really talk to you, but you coming down and you talking to me like I'm so.
Okay, well, how about that? How about get off? Need you on here? Oh, this my nigga talk. I know you're not FBA, fool. What they say, the majority spirit? I know you're not. You can't pretend. And I didn't mind. You don't have to be FBA to talk to me. You could be Chinese. You could be, actually, I want some white supremacists to join. You could be a white supremacist.
MCP. You've been very, 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 very vocal in the chat, my boy. I'm gonna need you to call in, MCP. So I'm gonna put the phone number in there. Okay. I'm gonna put the link in there, MCP. I'm gonna need you to call in, or I gotta block you. Okay, so don't act like you're busy right now, because I don't even know if you're FBA. All right, so MCP, that is the call-in number. I'm gonna give you the link as well. You pick how you wanna, you know what I mean? You pick how you wanna do this. Yeah, I was talking the whole time on mute. Hey, yo, when y'all don't hear me for like more than 10 minutes, you have to say, hey, man, we can't hear you. I just did a whole bunch of talking, and I don't feel like repeating that shit over. Right? So, but anyway, this is for MCP. MCP, if you don't hit call in or click the link, I gotta block you, my boy, because you're coming off like you're trolling. And I don't respect trolling. Okay, so let me give you the what the fuck? Yeah, MCP, yo, call in real quick, my boy, because you've been active in the chat, and I'm gonna need to hear you because you're coming off like you're a troll, and I don't want to believe you are. So just call in and just confirm you're not a troll, and it's all good. But if you don't call in, I'll have to block you, my boy. Okay, no. Yeah, so MCP, it's not an option. You got to call in or you got to get the fuck out of here, man. Like, real simple. Because you said some dumb shit. You said, if you're not dark chocolate, then you're a Gentile. Okay, so I need you to you got to justify this shit, bro. Okay, so what he's going to do, most likely he's going to run. Okay. So MP3, it is 4:57. You got till 5 o'clock to call in. So that's 3 minutes, or maybe a little less. You got 3 minutes. If you don't call in before at 5 o'clock, I'm going to block you, and you got to go to my else channel to troll. Okay, but one thing I don't not do, I don't mind opposition. I don't mind opposition, opposing views, but I do mind trolling. So the phone number is there in MCP. Matter of fact, I'm going to time you out. But you can still see, I'm going to time you out for 30 minutes. But you got the phone number. So you can still call in. Okay, but what you're not going to do is have liberty to communicate in the chat. Okay? You're coming off like you're African Tether. So I need you to click, call the phone number, and it's all good. But if you don't call in within about 5-10 minutes, I'm just gonna block you altogether, and we're never gonna know about an MCP ever again. The MCP, the phone number is still there, it's still visible, even though you're timed out. The phone number is still there. Call in. call in. Let's have a brief conversation. Okay? If you don't call in, I will block you before I log off. So what I was saying earlier, because I was talking on mute. No, because I was talking on mute. So what I was saying is, I'm planning on debating Myron Gaines next week. You got people like IBM, you got people like DJ Focus who believe they're better than me in debating. All right, well, call Myron Gaines before I do. You dig? Why you waiting on me? I'm telling you my plans. I want to call in Myron Gaines show, Fresh and Fit, whatever that shit called, and I want to beat him up on the same argument he gave Tariq Nasheed. And I believe it's gonna be a one-sided debate. It won't even be close. I'm telling you. I study his argument, his position, his rebuttals. It won't be close. I'm going to annihilate him. So now, you clowns out there who think you can debate better than me, well, how about you reach Myron Gaines before me and expose how dumb he is and win a debate with him? But you're not going to do it because you know you're stupid. Okay, you're going to rely on me to do the dirty work, which I don't mind doing. Okay, so yeah, MCP, he's blocked 30 minutes, but he can still hear me, and he can still call that phone number right there. And if he does not call in, I'm going to block him. Okay, because he's been saying some crazy shit in the chat, and I've been ignoring it because I'm thinking that, he's going to follow up with the smoke. But 15 years experience on YouTube and debating, I know people like him, right? They're clowns. They're smart in the chats only. They're dumb as hell when they call in. He probably can't even complete a sentence if he calls in. How dumb he's probably is. Okay, of course he's not gonna call in. You dig? And he's supposed to be FBA, so it's like, yo, you should really call in. If you're FBA, like my whole 2025 New Year's resolution is not to debate with FBA's ADOS. So, bro, if you call in, if you're FBA DOS, I'm not arguing with you too much. I'm going to correct you, but that's about it. I'm not going to be debating you. I'm debating ops. That's it. 2025, I'm only debating ops. I'm not debating nobody from my lineage. And by the way, like people who are FBA mixed with Tether, this is what I do personally. If you're FBA and Tether, to me, you're Tether. I don't respect that. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. If you're FBA and Tether, nigga, you're Tether to me. You're Tether. Because the reason why I deduce that you're Tether is because you got a grandmother in your ear talking about how bad we are over here. And I just refuse to believe that don't impact you at all. So if you're FBA and Tether, to me, you're just Tether. Now, biologically, you might qualify for appraisers. That's okay. But to me, you don't qualify to these FBA spaces. Yeah, because I watch too many Tethers that are half, and they are completely on code with Tether shit. So if you are FBA and Tether, as far as I'm concerned, you're full Tether. Okay? And I ain't taking that shit back. Because y'all like to gravitate towards your Tether side more than FBA. I'm good. You like to believe your Tether grandma than FBA grandma. So you know what? To me, you just full Tether. Okay? So if anybody talk to me, I'm FBA and I'm half Tether, nigga, you Tether. That's just it. I'm sorry for the N-word, but this is that type of lie where the N-word will be used. Okay, so of course he's not gonna call in. So I'm gonna block him. He's out of here. The MCP name you'll never see again. Okay, he's blocked. Okay, you'll never see the MCP name again from his account. He's blocked. He's been saying some wild shit. So I already showed, like, the title of the video is Tether CAUGHT cosplaying as FBA. So this is normal. It's normal behavior. You're gonna find a lot of tethers out there fake claiming at the FBA, but we can catch them. Those of us who study our history, you dig? And like I said, man, he was trying to add. I caught that fool. That live right there, man. I cooked him. Everywhere he went, Civil War, civil rights, wherever he went, he got cooked. Like, he didn't know more than me on any subject when it comes to FBA, because that's just research. You dig? That's just research. Like, listen, you'll be lucky to like know more than me on some FBA shit. And the more I talk to these tethers, the more I'm learning. So the haplogroup shit, I start to study that. Thank you, because I didn't study haplogroup. I don't have to. It's irrelevant when it comes to ethnogenesis. But the simple fact he brought it up and used that as a crutch, I took them. Now, you see that there's a lot of white people like J. Edgar Hoover who can trace themselves back to Africa. But who looks at J. Edgar Hoover as the African? But now, are these tethers going to look at J. Edgar Hoover and say, nigga, why are you denying you're African? Like, yo, these tethers not going to come to J. Edgar Hoover and say, why are you denying your tetherisms? They're not going to do that. They're going to acknowledge him as a white guy, but he's not. His haplogroup goes back to Africa. He's African. He's black, according to tethers. So it's like, yeah, how you gonna do this? All right, so he ain't calling in. No problem. I got more lives to do. I got a bunch of lives lined up. All right, so Moon Eyes, yeah, thank you for trying to get this guy to call in, but clowns. And look, most of these guys running their goddamn mouth, they are aware of this channel. They are aware. Okay, they're listening and silent. They're watching the videos, but I know they're aware because I've been having discussions with some of them on their channel and in the comment section. So they are aware. They choose not to call in. Okay, they choose not to call in, and that Tether CAUGHT, they get about 3 live viewers per video. It's like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to level up a little bit if you come over here. You get 3 live viewers, you get a little more if you come over here, but he refuses to come over here, man. That Tether. And every lie, all he talking about is Tariq Nasheed, FBA. Every lie, Chaotic Truth, and all the other garbage guys, and their subject and their title is going to be FBA or Tariq Nasheed or both. Because they know that what they normally talk about doesn't interest people at all. It's boring bullshit. Matter of fact, I'm going to nickname myself the Boogeyman. I'm the Boogeyman, man. Yeah, all these folks sound so smart until they calling over here. This dude said the civil rights march was sparked by Marxism, and then he said it was sparked by a boycott. I'm like, what? Like, yo, so Frederick Douglass in the 1800s, what was he doing? That wasn't civil rights. Yo, y'all got to stop, man. Y'all got to stop. Yo, at least cheat. Look at my videos so you can already know some of my talking points. Make it more, how much I would make it more challenging for me. Study my talking points and then come with something unique. Catch me off guard. You dig? Like, make me freestyle for the top. You dig? Like, I want to be smarter, but I'm not getting the competition. That's why I'm going to call in Myron Gaines, Fresh and Fit Bullshit. I'm going to cook him, and I don't even know where to go from there. Like, who else? Nick Fuentes is next, I guess. Candace Owens? Like, I don't know. Ben Shapiro? Like, what are we doing? But you know what? Man, they turn and say no more cosplay going on. They take right. Yo, my majority spirit caught that nigga so fast. Like, dude, what are you doing? And like I said, you got haters in the shadows watching. But these haters, they know better to call in. They know better. They know better. They're not as well prepared in research and history than I am. Because they know me. Most of these guys I spoke to, like on some personal offline shit. So they actually know. So this is beyond like YouTube. Right? They know. They know what it is. And that's why they, like on a low and behind closed doors, they'll disagree. But they'll never disagree publicly because they know I call their ass out. Yeah, you did. Well, then that's your fault. You should have ate them. Okay, that's your fault. You should have left them out there. You should have ate your chicken nuggets. You should have left them out there for the dog to eat them. Okay, I told you eat your chicken nuggets. You didn't do it. Then the dog ate it. That's it. I hold you in the same standard I hold Tether's on. You got to be accountable. Okay, next time you know to eat your chicken nuggets when I get them to you. Okay, you're gonna play around like they're gonna be there's a dog in the house. Now you know. You know what they say: one man's trash, another man's treasure. One man's trash is a dog's treasure. You dig? What can I say? Candace isn't Pan-African. She's not Pan. Candace is just a fool. I'm gonna be honest with you. Candace Owens, I show clips of her being. I did not expose her. I show clips of her being exposed. Mark Lamont Hill and Piers Morgan expose her. I got clips of both. Okay, she is a goofy. That's what she is. But she got so many subscribers, so many live viewers. She doesn't see my channel at all. Zero. Like I would need like to get her attention. I would need like 300,000 views per video. Like it's some real shit to get her attention. Like she's in like the millions. I think she surpassed Ben Shapiro. So yeah, see, and that's the thing about FBA is that we don't really support each other. So go look at Tariq Nasheed videos. They don't have a lot of like he's not out doing that Tether DJ Vlad. No, not Vlad. Well, he's a Tether too. But he's not out doing that Tether DJ Vlad, that Tether DJ Academic. He's not out doing them. Like these guys videos going crazy views. It's based on us. So we are so far. We are so far, but we're gaining. We're progressing, but we're so far because Tether still gets more support than our intellectuals and our activists. From us, like FBA does, are still supporting Tethers and white supremacists more than FBA does. Okay, and that's a problem. And until that dynamic changes, like you know what I mean, like what you expect? Ain't no reparations. It starts from the grassroots. Like niggas barely come here. Hi. Come. Yeah, so niggas they barely come here. So it's like, yo, what you think gonna happen? If y'all entertained by Tethers and white supremacists and goofies, yeah, like white supremacists gonna look at us like, or systemic racists gonna look at us like, nah, y'all ain't doing shit. We're good. We can continue this wealth gap because your people don't see how important it is to close it, and I can't even argue with that. Like, yeah, you're right. They damn sure don't, come over here in droves. And Tariq Nasheed is basically a celebrity, and you look at his numbers, it should be he should have 400,000 views per video. He got like 50, 60. He's right under DJ Academics. It was a complete tether. Yeah, so yeah, it's our fault. You know, and then Tariq has a project. It's barely met by the grassroots. That's embarrassing. Like research there, y'all don't understand, man. Some days, because I do this, some days I research a whole day or two. That means I sacrifice 2 days out of a week where I could be playing basketball, I could be going bowling, I could be doing some fun shit. But I'm behind my computer. I'm researching, reading stuff for y'all. And I'm not really being rewarded like that. You dig? Like with views or Cash App. Like I don't need any, you know what I mean? The Cash App is light. Like people could just show up in views, and that, to me, that's like feeling like it's worth it. So it's like I got like 200 people viewing. Like I ain't got to send $1 Cash App. I feel like it's worth it because people are listening to my research. I feel like it's worth the sacrifice. So you ain't got views or donations, like you know what I mean? Like shit, team up supremacy. I guess they're gonna win. You dig? But reparations got to be seen like the Civil Rights Act. So the Civil Rights Movement, not act, my fault. Reparations got to be seen like the Civil Rights Movement. Okay, most blacks was down with that, and they came out in droves, went to Washington D.C., and shit got done. But reparations ain't taking that serious. Okay, niggas don't want money. Niggas don't want land. Niggas don't want justice. So it's like, all right, okay, what can we do with that? Well, white man like, hey, I will help y'all, and maybe I will give y'all some money and land. But the bulk of your people don't think it's really that important. So we're going to pass, and we're going to ignore y'all until y'all get y'all people on board to make it a real issue. And that starts with this. This is a grassroots movement right here. What we're doing, me, Rick Nasheed, Yvette Carnell, Tone Talks. It doesn't matter what you disagree with. We're still Lord Abba. Like we're still grassroots. So you got freedmen, you got the American freedmen, you got ADOS, you got FBA. Like we're all grassroots, and the support we're getting is appreciated, but it's nowhere near enough where it should be from 43 million Black Americans who are suffering and subjected to systemic racism. So listen, man. So unfortunately, we have like a single home problem. Okay, and when you say single home, Black women automatically think, "Oh, you're shaming us." Oh, no. I'm naming something real. I'm saying single homes because that's a real thing. Near 70% of every Black child is going to be born in a single home. That's not a shot or pick on somebody. That's a real thing that's happening. And to eliminate it, we have to figure out why it's there. Okay? That's what I do. I'm in the background researching why that's there today. And like the connection from slavery is like crazy. There's a real connection from slavery, but we don't need women or men denying that it's a real thing. Like single homes is here. It's nobody's fault, but it's definitely by design. So we got to come to terms that, it's real. Like, let's stop denying it and acknowledge it's real. It's a problem. It's not something no single ladies hold your hands like Beyonce should. No. Or any Snoop Dogg should be a player. No. That got us in perpetual, brokenness. No, so the men or women should not be bragging about being single with kids. That's embarrassing, and as a result, the laws are passed where it's not in our favor. So what's going to trip you guys out, I'm going to leave with this. What's going to trip you guys out is that FBA does although we're painted as the picture of eat, look at that shit.